Okay. So usually what I will do for you guys the night before is I will go into Kajabi and I will upload an agenda. Um, what I really like to do for you is I show up for you regardless of whether or not you have any questions for me. But I also do your questions first. So I will solicit you guys in Facebook. If there are things that you guys are struggling with, I will always add them to the agenda first. I do try to be uber mindful that where we are in terms of the course. So if you've ever met anybody that has taken my course, what you guys know is we literally will cover everything and anything about reimbursement and private practice. So we'll go on crazy tangents. We'll talk about motivational interviewing. We'll talk about CAQH, but there is nothing that is off limits on these calls. So you guys will get exposure to every avenue. So if it's not in the Kajabi trainings, like we will dive deep on here. So, but I do try to be mindful that if there are questions that are a little bit more advanced that you guys want me to address, I do try to be somewhat mindful that we will cover those, but maybe not in the very beginning. So what I'm saying is you guys will get literally every single question you have answered, but we may just take it at a different time. I try to be, I don't know if it's the professor in me, but the hierarchy of teaching, one of the biggest mistakes I think dietitians make when they come into private practice is that they don't take the time to master the fundamentals. And so if we don't master the fundamentals, when we really start to grow, the infrastructure falls apart. Okay. So like I said, I don't know if that is like the professor in me, but you guys will see, like, I want you guys to leave this course like a rock star private practice dietitian. And in order to do that, you have to feel confident in what you're doing. And your confidence, right, will come from falling face down like I do on the regular, but also just mastering the fundamentals. You guys know probably the only difference between me and other dietitians in this space is I practice what I preach, and I do it all the time. So I bill, you know what I mean? I see patients. So I try to see the same struggles as you guys. So it's going to be important for me. So that's why I used to actually drip out the content for you guys in Kajabi, because I'm always afraid you guys are like human nature, go to the last module. And that's fine, but I do try to kind of go through this with you guys together. Like today, I would like to field any and all questions about CAQH. So like some of the preliminary steps, many of you guys may be through, but there's many aspects of reimbursement that are super overwhelming. So we use these calls to dive deeper. We use these calls maybe for some inspiration as well, because this part can be a little bit frustrating, but so cool. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you guys a brief tutorial of Kajabi. I really feel silly doing this because I know you guys are really smart, but I had somebody in one of my groups on our last call ask me for a tour of Kajabi, and it made me think, like, Amy Plano, like, why would you have never have done that in the beginning? So I want to show you guys a little bit of where everything is located, just in case you have questions. Obviously, my view is going to be different here because you can see all the different products, but in your library, you guys will have access to the calls. So for June, you guys will have access to the 2021 Badass Epic Reimbursement Guide. And then you guys will also have access to the reimbursement starter pack. Okay, so semantics here. Our login information for the calls is always the same. So you can always come into Zoom. You can always use the link that I send via email. You never have to be freaking out or sweating at like 12:29. Like, where do I find the login information? Always the same one. I'm going to talk today a little bit about, bulletproofing your business from the start. And so one of the things I highly recommend, if you haven't already done it, is to have a business credit card. This is a qualified business expense. And so if you don't have a business credit card right now, you know, and you want to get one after we talk about it today, you know, I have information on how to change your credit card. So one of the, you know, you guys will laugh and you will not be the exception. You guys, as the June group, you will see that it is the rule. I will be driving down the street and I will be thinking about you guys. And then all of a sudden in Facebook, I will say, hey, I just created this new video for you. Or, hey, I want you to have this checklist. And so I'm constantly thinking about things that would be helpful for you. So 2 recent additions to the general resources are like a checklist for setting up your private practice that I just added for you guys. And this is, ooh, you know what? Probably I have a brand new computer today, so it may or may not open. Oh, okay, cool. Okay. So this is something that I added for you guys. This in it's just like almost like a, I think as dietitians, we tend to focus on the details. And what I want you guys to focus is on the details, but also see the big picture. Because as dietitians, we're so type A, we kind of forget where we are, which is to kind of build these fun, lucrative private practices. So you guys will see that the modules are like detail specific, but I want you guys to kind of come back to this checklist as you guys go through and use this as your curriculum, right? So clearly you guys have noticed I am a freak show with details. And that doesn't mean you have to be, but you guys will see I'm constantly thinking of trying to think of new ways to kind of guide you. So I was even thinking about putting this checklist actually in each module and then, you know, having you guys highlight off or maybe throwing it into Adobe. But I think it's nice to have a big picture. So then, you know, as you're working through each module, you know, what the next steps are. You know, I used to say that you guys don't need a fax. I've kind of gone back on that. I think it's good to have a fax. They're very inexpensive. I turned 43 this month, so I'm of the fax generation where you had a physical fax in your office that was, you know, probably as big as your car. But these e-faxes are very reasonable. And because I'm gonna teach you guys how to bill with Z codes and all the other codes, but if we bill with any non-Z code, we do need documentation. So that documentation can come in the form of a referral. That documentation can come in the form of a progress note, a discharge summary, labs. You know, that can come in any form, but you need a way to get that to you. So we just recently switched over to SR Fax. The HIPAA compliant version of it is $7.95 a month. Some of the EMRs will automatically have faxing capacity in it. But it's weird. Like, I am the type of person that because I bootstrap my practice when I first started, I give you guys like the Compton version of it. And then I give you guys like the Beverly Hills version of it. So like, you know, I want you guys to always lead with the mindset that you start with what you have and you build upon that. Like I did not have a fancy office. I used to go into people's houses. I used to meet people when I was an intern in the atrium when I finished, you know, my 45-hour shift at the hospital. So I'm all about you guys making the most of what you have, but there will be certain things that I think are important that I will suggest. So the fax is something new that I started to really realize that, you know, I wasn't a good mentor if I was so fearful of you guys spending your money like on the wrong thing. So I think it is important, you know, to examine some of these fax options. They are, you know, they're very reasonable. Let me go find what I'm looking for here. I literally just got a new computer last week, so I apologize. I'm fumbling a little bit. So, so the checklists are really important. If you're new to clinical, some of you guys are rock star private practice dietitians now. You're just self-pay. So one of the things that I also found was really helpful was when you guys start to get credentialed with the insurance companies, like things will happen really quickly. And all of a sudden you go from 0 to like, 6 new patients in a week, but you don't know what you need to do to even get up and running with that. So I created like a little checklist sheet for you guys too. So like I said, I'm really trying to beat you guys to the punch when it comes to some of your questions. So people always laugh because you guys will tag me in Kajabi and you'll be like, and I'm like, yes, I already did a video for it. Go into this module because I'm crazy. So I try to, in the general resources section, these are a lot of the same forms that you guys get in the reimbursement starter pack. I just added this one last week. Somebody asked me, could I share the language for the credit card? So I take a credit card for every visit. You can't make an appointment without a credit card. So the dietitians in my membership asked if I would share that. So don't be bashful in the Facebook page. Always tag me. I don't have any notifications turned on my phone. I'm a very intentional like weirdo. So like I go in usually 3 times a day into your Facebook page. And sometimes like I might miss it. So tag me, but ask me if you're looking for a form because I've probably already created it for you. Worth its weight in gold for this course are the referral forms. I've pre-populated, you have a blank one, you have a pre-populated one, all with the appropriate ICD-10 codes. So you don't even have to type them in. Okay. So once again, you guys are going to find that most of the insurance companies do not require a referral. I like you guys to always just be ready. And so when I was in your shoes, remember, like I was an intern and then I quickly got credentialed, but I still didn't know what I was doing. So I want you guys to focus on growing your practice, not creating these forms. But like, it would be hilarious. Like I would have a patient like in 20 minutes and I'd be like, shit, like I got to create like, I want to get their information so I can reach out to their doctor. Like, I got to create that form right before they come in. So, and there's usually more. So there's definitely not a shortage of information for you guys to consume. Like I said, sample rate sheet. These are all things that I legitimately use in my practice. There is not a form here that I do not use in my practice. So this is one that I just added for you guys, I think maybe 2 days ago, like reminders. And like I said, we'll dive deeper into this stuff. I just want you guys to know that I have you and I have you guys covered on all angles. So, so those are kind of some of the pieces. I also want to show you, even though I know you guys know, depending upon the size screen that you guys are viewing things through, there's generally multiple pages. So sometimes dietitians will think that it stops here, but there's a whole another page on the module. So, and like I said, I'm constantly doing my best to update it. What I'm also trying to add, because there's just not enough information in here, I'm trying to add mini assessments for you guys. I think I've gotten through module 4 through 5. Not because I want you guys to take all the quizzes. I want you guys to feel comfortable navigating the insurance conversations. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm like a crazy self-growth reader. I make myself do a book report, a single page summary after I read a book, because what I find is if I don't hold myself accountable to that, I keep on reading and nothing means anything to me. So that's why for you guys, I'm adding in these little quick mini assessments. I'm trying to take the key concepts of each module. And then I'm trying to kind of ask you some questions. What I want you guys to recognize is that the things that I put in the assessments are probably important. I promise you, I was not that dietitian when I worked clinical that sent the interns to do length of stay. I try not to make you guys do any bullshit information that won't strengthen your mindset. So, yeah, so that's just a little bit about, like I said, you guys can always tag me in Facebook you're trying to find something and you don't know where it is, or you saw it. And I don't want you guys to spin your wheels. I am one of those dietitians that, I don't know, everything takes me, if it takes you guys 5 minutes to do it, it takes me 25. So if I can help you out in any way, I'd really love to do that. So just tag me in Facebook. That is the main way that we communicate. If you haven't joined our Facebook page, please do introduce yourself. We have dietitians from East Coast, West Coast, California dietitians. We're fortunate enough to have a Hawaii dietitian, and that is my second Hawaii dietitian, in one of my programs. I've had dietitians from Alaska. So it's just, so let us know where you're from. So then, if you're from somewhere where we're from, like maybe we can create like a mini meetup. In June or July, if you're local, I'm going to try to do a meetup in New York City. We're going to do like a cooking class and then dinner and drinks. So it's always good to know where everybody's from. So, private practice can be pretty lonely. So it's always nice to know other people that are like-minded, because you guys know dietitians they're a tough bunch. And you guys are my people. So like, we got to find our tribe, because dietitians are a pretty ruthless bunch. And you guys know that I am not that girl, but Facebook page is great. Tag me when you have questions. The only day I take off completely from Facebook is Sundays. So if you guys tag me up in Facebook, I will always respond the next morning. I am generally very good. If I missed you, like tag me again, and I don't take offense, but I will always do my best. Unless something's going on with my dad, which sometimes it is, I will alert you guys, like if I'm going to be out of pocket. But so tag me in Facebook with any of your questions. Let's just say you're doing the CIQH application right now and you have some questions. Screenshot where you are and let me know what you're struggling with. I have a sample CIQH application in there for you. But my business may look different from your business, or anytime you guys have questions. You guys will find that the language in insurance is the exact same language that they use for physicians. So it can be pretty confusing. So you guys will see questions like, are you facility or non-facility? We're always non-facility. It's a higher rate. A facility simply means it's like a hospital, or hospitals are for profit, but like anytime you guys get tripped up on questions, screenshot it, throw it up in the Facebook page. And I will do my best, to address it. Obviously, I am not an attorney. I am not an accountant. I'm just a badass dietitian from Connecticut. So I will let you guys know when there's things I don't pretend to be anything that I'm not. So if you guys have I can generally give you general information about taxes and corporations versus LLCs, and the pros and cons of being a sole prop versus, but some of the real legal questions, I hope you don't mind that I might refer you back to an attorney or an accountant. Like I said, I try not to muddy the waters with what I know. I'll give you insight, and I will always, for good or for bad, give you my personal experience, because if there is a possibility of something going wrong in private practice, it probably happened in my practice times 10. So I can share with you guys my experience, but I promise I'm not going to be giving like legal advice, or anything that, you would benefit from a CPA from. So Facebook page, Monday through Saturday. And like I said, you guys know, I think, I started seeing patients at 7 this morning. So, I try to kind of, cash out around 3 p.m. on Saturday in the Facebook pages, but any other time I'm there. All of our communication will happen in, in the Facebook page. I have an intern who I pay. Everybody who works for me is paid. I don't have anybody that's not, that sends you guys out the reminders and then puts those in the Facebook page too. So, she's very good, but sometimes she might make a mistake, or I made a mistake in the information that I had. So I will always try to remind you guys of these events. I will also invite you guys to what I call special events. So if I'm speaking to my membership on something that's cool that I think you guys would benefit from, I will always invite you to those talks. I will invite you if we're doing, if we're going to New York City and you're local. So, so in addition to what you guys see on the schedule, I probably will also invite you, and you're never required, but I don't record those. So like next month, I'm going to invite you guys to Availity. I'm doing a training in Availity, which is, it's a little bit of a, an overwhelming, clearinghouse to navigate. Like, I'm going to invite you guys to that. It's going to be live. I just don't upload the recording for you. You guys can come and ask questions. You are not second-class citizens, but because that is for my paid members of my membership, you guys can come, chill, and hang out. But I wouldn't upload that here. So you guys can come live. So before we get into your questions and then some of the nuts and bolts of what you guys can be doing right now, can I answer any like administrative questions? You guys can always feel free to unmic or unmute, and then post any. And if you don't feel comfortable talking on camera, you can always post your question in the chat. Is there anything I can talk about like administrative wise or anything like that? Okay, cool. So I saw 2 questions in the Facebook page, and both of which I wanted to address. And it could be easier if I just stop sharing my screen and then see if you guys have any specific questions on CAQH. But so CAQH is it's called an application. But what I want you guys to think about the CAQH application is it's really not an application. And so think about it like the Common App, or maybe think about it like DICUS. You know how you load all of your personal information in there? That is what CAQH is. So it's like a depository for all of your data. And so when you apply to college, when I applied to college and my internship, believe it or not, both were handwritten. So there were no, no databases like this, but the CAQH application has to be perfect. And what I mean by that is it can't have any red flags, not red flags, but everything has to be completed in its entirety before you start to apply to the insurance companies. And so that's why in module 1, and you guys might make, some of you guys might be, more advanced to module 1, but in module 1, I'm having you guys get all of your ducks in a row, right? So, your business type, your EIN, your malpractice insurance, because when you get into module 2, before you start to apply to the insurance companies, you need your CAQH application green lighting you. Okay. So it's got to be finished in its entirety before you start to apply to the insurance companies. So it's not the application to apply to the insurance companies. It's the actual place where the insurance companies, you're going to have to reach out to each insurance company. And then the CAQH application is like, they use that to check back. So they're like, oh, okay. So like, Gigi said that, she went to, she did her internship at, NYU, like, is that legit? Like, you know what I mean? So they're going back to that information and seeing if it makes sense. You have to upload your liability insurance. And so that way you don't have to put all of this information in for each insurance company. But when you reach out to Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna or Cigna, they may have additional paperwork that might be similar to CAQH, but a little bit different. So, in my experience, Cigna is the easiest to deal with. They basically do your whole application on the phone. And then they circle back to the CAQH application. But a couple things to be mindful on the CAQH application. So number 1, you do have to fill out the references. I think you have to do 3. They do not check them. If you don't have 3 references, tag me in the Facebook page. I'll give you or go to amyplano.com. I will be your reference. So, a lot of times I will be whatever you need me to be. And if you need me to be your reference, because you don't have, another reference, if you look at my CAQH, you guys have access to it. remember, I did it in 2008. So my references were I didn't have a job, you know what I mean? I was working at Yale. So like my DI director, my boss, maybe like the head of clinical, like those are my 3 references on my CAQH application, if you guys want to laugh, but they won't check them, but they need to be filled out. The other 2 things I want to identify on the CAQH application is your, if you are an LLC, you will more than likely need an NPI type 2. Okay. And so on the CAQH application, there's going to be a section for your personal information. And then there's going to be a section for your practice information. Your personal information, you will list your social security and your NPI type 1. And your NPI type 1 is like your social security. It follows you no matter where you go. So say you're working for a clinic right now, and this is your side hustle. Maybe your clinic was already billing for you. They already have an NPI type 1 for you. You can still use that NPI type 1. Multiple people can be using your NPI type 1, at any given time. So, but if you're an LLC and I have the directions for applying for your type 2, that's going to go under your practice location information. So those are my main pieces, but I'm going to just stop my share. Are there any questions right now that I can address about CAQH or anything that you guys are struggling with or anything you want me to look at? Okay, you guys are good.
I have a question. This is May. My camera isn't working for some reason.
Hi, girl.
Hi. So I actually have completed the CAQH application, and from what you were just saying that we needed professional references, I actually just maybe added in that last week, but it still checked everything off as like, gave me the green light for everything.
Cool.
Do I have to put in everyone, like all of my references?
No, as long as I am like the type of person is like, if they don't ask, don't tell. And so like, like the same thing, like I'll use the same scenario, like don't say telehealth only, you know what I mean? Like, even if because a lot of times like insurance companies won't credential you. So the less information, the better. So like, if you can get things to green light, like, I think I have an Instagram post for this week. It's like, I'm a professionalist turned half-asser, and it's like totally applicable for insurance. Like in my internship in 2008, I learned that mediocrity was acceptable. We all go from these type A. Same thing with any type of application, like anything that's not an asterisk, don't put it. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you find, because the CAQH application is going to be based on your state, sometimes they do make the references required. If you guys can green light it without the references, don't even waste your time. You got bigger fish to fry than wasting that time. But to answer your question, absolutely not. You don't have to go back and put them. No.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on CAQH?
Hi, Amy. I am having some challenges completing.
Give them to me, man.
I have a few green lights, but it's a lot of red.
I got more reds than greens, yeah.
And so I was wondering if I should just delete everything and start over. Like I just, got the the address, my professional address, office space.
Yeah, because you just got office space last week.
Right. Remember, so I did the mailbox, but I actually got a co-work lease thing that I'm going to be starting in July. Woo! So it's not accepting it for some reason. So I don't know if I should just start all over and just enter the one address and not enter the mailbox that I have currently and the second one, because I won't be able to use the second one until, or maybe I'm just making this complicated until July.
Yeah, you're totally cool. Yeah. But those are good questions to ask me, because like I wouldn't know that either. So I would say go in and delete because like people also ask me like, are they going to come to my office and check? Like, I'm like, where did that even, because it's so funny. Cause like, I'm telling you, if something could go wrong, like they never, like everything goes wrong with me and I've never seen them outside my office. So like, I can honestly tell you, I don't know where that rumor started. I would go in and delete the first one and put your new one, even though you're not going to be there until July. So go in and either override what you have for the,
Okay.
yeah.
'Cause it's red, 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 and I was that was me. I was thinking that is a UPS mailbox. Are they going to check if I'm actually accepting patients? There? And I
No, but
got
if they ask you like obscurely, like, cause like so I'm at my dad's house. This is my it's like all full circle, and it's funny for this first call. I mean, this is the address that I originally credentialed, and it's like I didn't even know that I really needed to change it. Like, I mean, like I didn't know that it was a thing. So, people used to ask me all the time, like, I want to see you in your Cheshire office. And I'm like, I don't have a Cheshire office. Like my parents live in Cheshire, you know what I mean? So, but no, nobody came here to see that it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I always say, unless, like I said, and it's not lying because nobody, nobody's asking you that, you know what I mean? So, because, and once again, I think it's, I think that's a good question about an address that leads to one that some other dietitians may have, which is, if you like, say you don't have a physical address right now, like what should you do? And so obviously what I did was like, I feel like if somebody's going to murder me, like it doesn't matter if my address is listed in the directory, because that, because I feel like people, even in 2008, people were, so some dietitians, what you have to realize is when you put in your NPI type 1 and your type 2, that information becomes public knowledge. One of the dietitians in one of my groups in last March, she emailed me and she was like laughing. She was like, I don't want my type 2 to show up my home address. And I'm like, well, what do you have for your type 1? She's like, my home address. And I'm like, I Googled her and I'm like, this is where you live. And she's like, oh my God. So that's public information. And then in the directory, whatever address you put as your physical location, whether it be your home address or that the physical address with the UPS, it's going to show up. So just be mindful of that. So if you don't want any of your home showing, most dietitians will go to the UPS and then get a physical address, not you can't credential a PO box. We all know that, but they might use that as their address. So once again, for me, clearly I wasn't worried about anybody's safety. And my home address was public knowledge for, probably the first 10 years of my career, but I understand and respect why people, might do otherwise. So in that situation, I wouldn't start my CAQH application again. I just go in and clean it up. And so I clean up that spot. What's another area that you're struggling with?
The language, they were asking for accessibility and.
Oh, that's a weird one too. I feel like that's I laugh.
I didn't know what to put, I don't have any language interpretation right now or mechanics for that or American Sign, and I didn't know what to put down. So
yeah, I always say like you answer it to the best of your ability. And so what that means is like if that's all under the ADA, like Disability Act. And so there's one insurance company that will ask like really cryptic, might be Blue Cross Blue Shield in New Jersey, but you answer that to the best of your ability. And I was like when the question is like, is it on a bus unit? I'm like, my parents live like in the middle of nowhere. I like, there was like Domino's, like there wasn't even like a Domino's like in the 80s growing up here. Like, is it on a bus? No, it's not on a bus. Is it accessible by train? No, it's definitely not. You know what I mean? So I would say answer it. And I think the same way that they can't discriminate, is there a handicapped accessible bathroom? How do you really define that? I guess, yeah. You know what I mean? Like my dad's, you know what I mean? There's bars in the bath, you know what I mean? So like, once again, you like answer it as if like to the best of your ability. Yeah. And green light.
Less is best.
Yeah.
Less is best.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll try it again.
And channel me like with the don't overthink it. Like I think I did an Instagram post about that. Don't overthink it. Cause I think we tend to complicate things much more than they have to be. Are there any other spots that are getting tripped up?
No, I can't get beyond those right there, and maybe later. That's my goal. That's my goal to get through that. That's my goal.
Yeah. So you go back in, and like I said, what I can give you guys as words of wisdom as you go through this process is it's one foot in front of the other, and you know, I am the type of person, like I said, that it takes me 10 times longer to do what everybody would do, like, you know, 10 times shorter. So for me, what I always find is you know, let me get out my little, I mean, like I keep like, as this is holding up my computer, like, you know, like as much as I want to think I'm a very progressive, you know, I keep a normal schedule. Like I like, obviously I'm going to tell you guys all about electronic scheduling, but like I use a real scheduler, like an old person. And like
Pen and paper.
yeah, and I like go through and I have tasks. And so I take really big, so like obviously I'm always taking courses as well. And so I set really small milestones, like, you know, what, like when I'm taking a course, like watch video 1 and video 2, you know, by X amount of date, you know what I mean? But like I said, I'm very, and sometimes I feel like I sound like a loser, like I'm setting the bar really low for myself, but like you guys will see there's 52 emails that will fire out at you, like giving you more information about each one of the modules. Do you think that I sat down and wrote 52 emails? You guys will laugh when you see them, but like, no, I put in my, every single Tuesday and Thursday, I would write 2 of those and I would put them in here and I would check them off. But so as you guys go through this, you know, even though you have tons of support, I'm also a realist and realize it can still feel very overwhelming. You know what I mean? So you're not like I don't like the word moron, but like, just because it still feels overwhelming, like it's cool. Like it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, my goal is hopefully if you do get stuck, I can say, okay, do this. Yeah, but don't delete your application. So
Okay.
when you guys get stuck in those areas, like, you know, or you can say to me, hey, Emma, I'm feeling super overwhelmed. Like, do you have any suggestions on how to do X, Y, and Z? Or if you guys are reaching out to your reimbursement rep, like they may never get back to you. So like tag me in the Facebook group and say, hey, I emailed them. I waited like 10 days. Who do you think I should apply to? You know what I mean? Like you guys are never alone on this piece where like, for me, I was like, oh, I guess like, you know, nobody's going to email me back. But yeah, so just take each piece in stride and, you know, take it slow. Like I said, you know, this is your course. Like I said, I used to drip out the content and then I was like, that's like ridiculous because some people move faster, some people move slower. And like, I also have dietitians that get to this, you know, we'll get to the 6 month and they're just doing the CAQH application. And you know, don't feel bad if that's you, ask questions, you know what I mean? Because there's always going to be different people, no matter if you do it cohort based, if you do everybody all in one group, you know. Yeah, so never feel afraid of asking questions. And I know people say this all the time, but like there's no silly question because if you're thinking it, everybody else is also thinking it too. And like you guys know, if you see me on any of the other Facebook pages, like I pass 0 judgments, you know what I mean? Unless you're a jerk, then but like then I don't like you, but like there's no judgments like on the question. So never like, you know, I will tell you as a business owner, like I am one of those people that will write an email and then delete it because like not appropriate, but like don't feel that way in this group. Like you don't have to censor, you know what I mean? You don't have to have, what do I say to my husband? Mark, it's all in the delivery. Like it's not, you don't have to worry about here. You can ask your questions. You can be scared. You can be frustrated. You could be excited. Because on any given day, I probably experience all of those as well. So, but that's important. But any questions? Yeah.
Hey, so I feel like where I've been stuck before is the address question.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
right now it is just telehealth.
Sure,
and that
sure.
is all that I'm planning right now. So putting my home address and answering, so it sounds like I answer the follow-up questions on accessibility based on my home address, right?
Yeah.
And then
to the best of your ability.
right.
Yeah.
And then if I decide to have an office space, do you then go back in and
Super
update
easy.
it?
That CAQH application is like, it's like logging into your email. You can edit anything in there at any time. So, right. So when I started, you know, with my practice, obviously it was here. And so it was 65 Mountain Brook Circle. But since then, you know, I've probably had 6 different offices. And so what I do is, I go into CAQH first to update it. And then unfortunately you have to reach out to each insurance company. So, so if you're already credentialed and you want to add a new, so like we have a couple different offices in Connecticut. So, so I add those all into CAQH first. And then I reach out to each individual insurance company and I say, it's a very easy, it doesn't change your contract. I want to add a Hamden location. I want to add a Greenwich location. So those are all easy changes, and something that's like super easy. So don't ever, that's like the least of your worries. You know what I mean? But like I said, try to navigate, like some dietitians will call and like say, I'm only want to be telehealth. And I'm like, no, like, you know what I mean? They're not going to ask you that. So don't give them that information, because somewhere in your file, they might like scarlet letter you, and then you call back and then they might make you like dance to figure things out. But like I said, I started with my home, and then I eventually moved to, multiple offices, and that's the easiest process. Yeah. Don't worry about that piece at all. Yeah. Good question though. Hey, Brigida, what questions do you have, my Connecticut native?
Yes, hi, thank you so much. I have done my CAQH application, and there's this weird thing called tort. Let me just pull it up.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a new one for
Yeah,
Connecticut.
Federal Tort Claim Act coverage. And I'm like, what the heck? And I called my insurance company and they're like, oh, you don't need this, but it's telling me it's missing. And if I try to go back and delete it, it doesn't let me, like, and now I have a document missing in my CAQH, and I don't know.
So
what to
what
do about
I
it.
usually do with that, so if you are in CAQH right now, you should see, or hopefully there should be, and it might not be there because it's a weekend, but they usually have a live chat, little blue question mark.
Oh,
And
yes.
they're actually surprisingly good. I would lie to you if I told you that it was that easy to get a hold of people in our world of insurance, but I would never, ever tell you that. But this, two surprising places where the chats are really helpful are CAQH and then Medicare. As crazy as Medicare sounds to credential, they're actually friendly, real people for you to talk to. CAQH and then NPIs as well. So if you're having issues with your NPI, or you're having a hard time getting into the system and it's saying you're already registered, you can pick up the phone and talk to somebody. It's a little deceiving because in the beginning of this insurance game, it might give you this false sense that it's that easy. But I usually sometimes we can't get like my liability insurance to upload. We just hit the chat and we tell them. They can see, I think they can see like, their end, and they can tell you how to navigate that. What you guys will find, and don't be surprised if somebody posts a question in Facebook and you're like, oh, I didn't have to do the tort, or I didn't have, the way that your CAQH application loads is based on your state. So like certain states have, because of licensure rules, are going to have some additional documentation that needs, but don't freak out if you're like, oh my God, I didn't get that question. Some states are easier, and some states are harder, but I would just chat it out with them and see. And if that doesn't work, then just call the phone number and they should, you know what I mean? I've never had anybody have an issue like fixing it. So don't let that part stop you.
But do you have that tort coverage?
I feel like mine, but I did mine. I wonder if when I did mine in 2008, I don't have tort coverage. No.
Right. So, and I think I first said I don't have it, but then it wanted me to say I have it. And then I said I had it, and now it doesn't let me delete it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I
so
don't have it. But I also don't have that question. I don't believe, because if you look at my application, I think you can see the required documents. And at that time, because I'm like, so, I've been doing this for way too long, that probably wasn't a requirement. And I've never seen new documents come in, meaning like I have to update my license every year, my malpractice, but those are the only two things I have ever needed to change versus, like I said, my parents' address, 15 years, 20 years later. But yeah, so you will update it. So just give them a jingle or shoot them, see if they can see on that angle, and then hopefully they will push it right through. And then you can start the credentialing process.
Great, thanks. And one more question is,
Yes.
when I did I have an NPI 1.
Yeah.
And I think I used a practice location where I was renting space by the hour, and
Yeah.
I'm no longer there. So
You can go into either PICOS, which is CMS, or the MPPES, and you can update that, and it's very easy. So I think if you might have to call and reset your password for that. But it's NPP, NPP, National Enumeration, That's not actually going to be an issue. And somebody in my February group just asked this, but my Yale address was listed for my MPI type 2 until a year and a half ago. So that's not, it doesn't have to line up, because it's whoever basically, you can just to kind of like, but I logged in, I don't know, I was trying to help somebody do something. I'm like, let me go in through my account, and it said 20 York Street, New Haven, Yale New Haven Hospital. And that was like a year and a half ago. So yeah, so that part, it doesn't have to line up. It can, and you can change it. Because I know when I got married, I had to change my name in there. So I changed my name, but I was probably too lazy to update my address. Yeah.
So in the NPI too, I was just using the NPI for the location where I see people. So I don't have mine, for myself. It's just
no. Your NPI type 1 is the one.
Yes, but 2, the practice location, I was just using the one from the practice where I am, but I don't have my own because I don't have, I'm just renting space.
Oh, yeah. So you can apply. So anybody that's an LLC. So when we apply for our NPI type 1, we apply with our legal name and our social security.
Yeah, I got that part.
Yeah. When we apply for the type 2, it's just the name of our LLC in our EIN. So you can apply. Yeah. You don't have to have it's deceiving because a lot of insurance companies treat LLCs as groups, but like for so long of my career, I was a single member LLC, and I was the only dietitian in the group. So, so you can apply for a type 2 through that same portal. You may not need it. I think in Connecticut, maybe Blue Cross Blue Shield might want it. And then maybe.
Yeah, somebody wanted it. So I'm a little confused. So I thought the type 2 was tied to the location.
No, type 2 is tied to your LLC or the name of your group. I mean, it's never, none of these are ever tied to location. So like at any given time, you can go in and update it. So it's
the type 2.
Yeah, it's semantics in terms of whatever address is located in there, because you may or may not be at that location.
So basically, I just give them my EIN from my LLC, my name, and then if they want a location, I give them whatever practice.
Give them whatever location you want. You could, you know what I mean? You can give them a bus stop location. Like they don't care. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like the dietitian who was really upset the other day when I found her NPI, which was her house. She was really stressing about that. And I was like, you kind of just put, you know what I mean? They're not like when they credential you through CAQH, they just care that you have a legit NPI. But anybody can have an NPI. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like even if you're a non-licensed person, I think you can still apply, you know what I mean? Like they don't check to, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's not a lot of checks and balances, but they do, so yeah, so it's not location dependent. It's just entirely tied to, and another thing to think about if you're trying to figure out if you're an LLC or, everybody wants to get like really fancy with the name of their LLC because they feel like it's like, remember that the name of your LLC like does not have to be the name of your practice. So because I was lazy, I got an LLC in 2007. And so the name of my LLC is Amy Kristock LLC, but I do business as the Plano program. I do business as the reimbursement dietitian. I do business as the PCOS dietitian. I DBA as, there's one other one, CrossFit dietitian. So like the name of your practice does not have to be the name of your LLC. When you go to credential with Medicare, they make it a little bit more challenging. So the name of my practice is the Plano program, but on my checks, it says Amy Kristock LLC. So I did have to get I had to get a letter from the bank saying that Amy Kristock has permission, like they're the same people, right? The Plano program dietitians, like I can put money into that account, but that's the only, so don't like stay up late at night being like, dream, believe, like LLC. Like I need a really cool, that I can never change the name of my LLC. Like I said, like a lot of times it's even confusing because there is no Amy Kristock aside from the LLC, because my passport, I'm Amy Plano. Amy Kristock doesn't exist, but the LLC exists. So don't stress yourself out about like being super cute. Like my dad's always like, why would you call it, like, I like your website, but like, why the reimbursement dietitian? I'm like, because I'm the reimbursement dietitian, Dad. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty straightforward, like from SEO, I rank #1, so it's like, don't feel like you need to be super crafty. At least for me as a dietitian, craftiness is by no means my middle name. So, yeah, so don't stress about that. Any other questions so far? Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about, somebody had a question about billing for peds. Like I said, I apologize. This computer, I feel like I'm fumbling. Okay. Somebody had a question about billing for peds. So there's a couple of states where there are requirements for referrals. So California, Alabama, and Tennessee are 3 states that, based on your licensure rules, you do in fact need to have an MD referral for most of your patients. Any other state, unfortunately, you very rarely need a referral. So, I have a lot of dietitians in all of my groups working with peds. And so when we bill for peds, we can often use some of the same Z codes, which I don't even think about coding yet, but we don't need referrals for peds the same way we don't need referrals for adults. Certain insurance plans, say for example, Medicare, no matter what state you're in, Medicare always requires a referral. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when we bill for peds, and once again, this could just be me being crazy, but many dietitians find that it's a super inconvenience to get any information about their patients before seeing them. Once again, I have not done clinical I have not worked for somebody since 2014. And I don't mind picking up the phone and saying, if we have a peds patient, can you send me the last set of progress notes, or can you send me the last set of growth charts? So is it required? No. But I think as a dietitian, it allows us to do our job better. And when we're dealing with kids, a lot of times we have to handle them with kid-like gloves, but we're really dealing with the parents, right? And some of these parents can be like helicopter patients. And so, you want to show up for that first visit, like showing them what's up, you know what I mean? Because you'll have some, I'm in the middle of hiring a bunch of new dietitians, and I was just telling them in the interviewing process, trust me when I say sometimes it's them, not you. These patients can be freaking difficult. I don't blame the dietitians, you know what I mean? But, especially when you guys are dealing with peds, the parents can be challenging. So anybody, our patients are challenging. So, so it's good to show up, with whatever appropriate information you feel is necessary to get the job done. And some patients may not even know their diagnoses. So right, if you were to ask my dad, does he have diabetes? He's going to tell you no. In the hospital, they're giving him insulin. I'm like, do you believe your dietitian CDE daughter now that you have, for some patients, it's there's some shame. My dad's 82, there's some shame associated with certain diagnoses. So you may not get all of the information that you need to do your job. So, so billing for peds patients is generally not a different process, but we do in fact verify many of the same codes. So for certain plans and policies, we can bill with peds BMI codes. So the nice thing about peds BMI codes, and I have them in, I have all the ICD-10 codes that you guys can bill with in that preliminary generally resources section. I have the most recent one from the Academy from 2021, but you guys can see that there are BMI codes that typically qualify and quantify overweight children, kids that are normal percentile. And then there are codes for failure to thrive and things like that. Even with peds patients, we do want to utilize their preventative benefits. So you guys will hear me say probably 100 times throughout the course, like, let's bill with a Z code whenever possible. And the same is applicable for peds patients. What that simply means is, we need to ask, we need to verify, which, we go in detail and in this course, but verify, pediatric codes for each one of these patients. So, a lot of times there's really good coverage for peds, but we do have to ask the right questions. And when you guys get to module 4, which is verification of benefits, I give you guys a script to walk you step by step through the process of what questions to ask. So you guys show up for those calls, like armed with a lot of juicy information, and then you leave that call fairly confident knowing what type of coverage that patient has. So peds coverage is a thing. It's very similar to adult coverage, and we still tend to bill with Z codes for those patients. Did anybody want more information? Like I said, we'll go deeper, but is there anything I can specifically address about peds right now? Okay, very cool. So I don't want to talk your ear off, but I want to briefly talk about some of the things that you guys can be doing right now. If obviously you're not credentialed with the insurance company. Some of you guys, like I said, are already in private practice and you're seeing patients. But I want to talk about a couple things that you guys can be doing. So HSAs are health savings accounts that are associated with high deductible plans, and they cover for services for things that, if the patient hasn't met their deductible, say they have a $10,000 deductible, they can often use those, the funds on the HSAs to pay for MNT. So that is why I believe in that checklist. I have a whole section for you guys on applying for a credit card processor. So I use Square, and you can run these HSA cards just like credit cards. So as long as there's funds on them. So say you guys, you're not credentialed with the insurance companies, but somebody comes to you, you go to church tomorrow or something, and somebody says, hey, I really want to, I'd really love to work with you. And you're like, wow, I'm not credentialed yet, but I'm working on it. They can use, if they have an HSA, funds to pay for that. And you literally punch in the number on the credit card the same way that you would run, a normal credit card through your processor. The main thing to know about credit card processors is that they all, no matter which one you use, they all charge a fee. So for every $100 you run, they generally are going to take about 3%. You can poke around and see if there are lower rates. They're almost always 0.28 to 3%. Like I said, I use Square. To the best of my knowledge, like Venmo, those are not business appropriate. I always thought those were against the FTC. Some dietitians will debate that. I would say use Square or Stripe. Kajabi charges you guys in Stripe, where when I work with one-on-one clients, I set everybody up through Square. People pay their co-pays in Simple Practice through my Square. So, but like I said, I know I sound like a silly person, but when you tell people you're a dietitian and that you have a private practice, you are the most popular person at the party, because everybody and their mother has a question for you. So you say, hey, that's awesome. I'd love to help you with all of your questions. But this is how I work with my clients. You can use your HSAs. Like I said, they have to have money on them, right? But you have to be set up, and I have this information in the checklist sheet for you guys. You have to be set up as a healthcare provider. I would tell you, for the first 5 years of my practice, I was trying to run HSAs and they were all getting declined. And I didn't know why. There was a back of the end button by the credit card processors that you usually probably were asked a question when you set up your account. I probably wasn't paying attention. So none of the cards were going through. They were all getting rejected. So make sure that you're set up on that end you know, with insurance. I'm sorry, not with insurance. This has nothing to do with insurance, with the credit card processor. So you can charge them for single services. You can charge them for packages with the HSAs. Obviously, it depends on how much money is on the account. But you can generally run it like, it's like if you went into CVS and you wanted to buy, I think even you want to buy aspirin, you could use your HSA to buy aspirin. If you wanted to go to the chiropractor, and you hadn't, you know, you can use your HSA to pay for any qualified medical expenses. Okay. So it kind of acts like a credit card for your patients. Obviously you guys can be accepting cash. You know, you don't want to start accepting any money until you have a business checking account. Okay. So, you know, there's so many different banks out there, and, you know, there's banks that are better than the others. So the two worst banks are Wells Fargo and Bank of America for small businesses. I have Bank of America, right? Of course I do, for like 8 of my accounts. And I am making it a precedence this year to switch over to another bank that doesn't charge as many fees. What happens when you guys are, I don't actually, and that's part of the problem. I don't get charged a ton of fees because I carry pretty substantial balances. But what happens when you guys are first starting out is that many of these business checkings are based on balances. And so, you know, like I said, I am a firm believer in not paying for anything you don't need to pay. So, you know, I have had my account with Bank of America since it was Fleet, you know, like since I was like 3. So I am a victim of habit. And once again, I'm not getting hit with a lot of fees, but, and if you ever get hit with fees, you know, you can always call and negotiate them. You know, I noticed that one of my business accounts was getting charged $29.95. But I carry a balance. Bank of America has like $180,000 liquid of mine. I know that's crazy, but so I called them and I said, hey, PS friends, like check out my accounts, waive these fees, and then stop them and reclassify my account. Like, this is crazy. So you guys know that the answer is always going to be no unless you ask. But what I have learned in life, sometimes you tell people what's up. You know what I mean? Like, so don't be afraid to negotiate or look at fees or threaten them that you're going to, you know, you're going to go other places. Another time I went into the bank during COVID, I waited in line for 25 minutes. I ran out of checks. I wanted to pay one of my independent contractors. And these weenies wanted to charge me like $17.95 for a bank check. And like in the middle of, you know, in the middle of Bank of America with like 50 people standing in line, 6 feet behind me, I had like a girl power moment, like female entrepreneur, like banging on my chest, and I got the fee rate, you know, erased. So don't, like, make sure you have a business checking account set up. You know, don't pass go, you know, don't start credentialing until you have that. So I say have a business checking, have a business savings, and I'll show you guys more about, you know, I'll give you some more suggestions on how to set it up down the road in terms of, like, you know, doing your taxes and things. But make sure you have those, and then have a business credit card. On your business credit card, you're only going to put business related things. I unfortunately have one through Bank of America. And then I also have a business American Express. The reason why I have one through Bank of America and then one through American Express is that not all places will take American Express. So like, for example, I pay my insurance premium on my credit card. And you guys will soon see I am like a travel maniac when the countries are open. So, and I'll be inviting you to anything cool that I see out there. But a couple of my friends who are dietitians, they run trips in Italy and Greece. And so even those are business expenses because we can get lots of credits for those. So the reason why I go with American Express is that I like to travel in style. So I rack up my points there. So, you know, so just make sure you guys are set up appropriately. I can help you guys with any basic accounting questions. Some people like that bank Ally. That's completely online. So go with whatever is easiest for you. I never take out money out of the ATM. So for me, even though Bank of America is convenient, like it's very rare to see me at an ATM. So just go based on what works for you guys, but please promise me that you have separate accounts when you guys start this up. Okay. So then everything will go to the appropriate spot once you guys start to get paid. Okay. So in terms of money, does anybody have any questions on the money stuff so far? Aside from when is it going to start to roll in? So HSAs accepting cash. So I give you guys my rates. So, and you guys can charge appropriately. Some of you guys are in high standard of living places. I charge $180 for an initial, and then I charge $80 for each follow-up. I have a sample like in the academy for you guys. I have like a little PDF that I created in Canva that the more sessions somebody buys, the lower the rate. So like it starts at $80 for a follow-up. And I just created this in Canva, like I said, and you can have promise. And I promise you, like, you can charge more than I do. I feel like this is reasonable. This is fairly comparable to what I get. My lowest payout in Connecticut is $75 for a follow-up. But so you guys can see the more follow-up sessions, if they have an insurance that I don't accept, or they don't have visits. In Connecticut, we're very fortunate. Our patients have unlimited visits with the Blue Cross Blue Shield product. So we're not doing a ton of cash business, but I want you guys to always have a rate sheet ready. So when people come your way, like you're not caught off guard. So, like I said, I charge, like I said, and you may charge differently, and but I'm happy to look at your rates as well if you want to talk out, some of your services. But I want to show you guys, once again, I don't like to one-off anything. I don't like to, so I teach you guys also, if you want to know how to build out packages. And so this is just an example. Also, that image was when I was young. But I've also created some PCOS packages. So look how short my hair is. It's like red. So I have some different packages you guys can check out. Once again, not like I said, I don't think I'm just saying for inspiration. So you guys can see kind of, I gotta be honest with you. I don't sell a ton of packages because I can teach you guys how to get coverage for visits. You know what I mean? Most of my patients have unlimited visits. We do metabolism testing and a couple of different things. So, we build them into our packages. I build insurance into these if I want, but I don't sell a ton of packages because, quite honestly, like, I'm very pleased, even though Connecticut rates are the lowest, I'm still making, awesome money. So like, I'm definitely not a glutton. When I first started, Blue Cross Blue Shield used to pay us $75 for a follow-up. No, $75 for an initial and $48 for a follow-up. And I thought I was a millionaire. Now I make $300 to $500 an hour between all of the things that I do, but I don't forget, like I never forget where I came from. And like, I would have taken $48 any day of the week. So I'm not one of these dietitians that feels like we don't get our worth. We get what we ask for, right? And we have to be realistic. If you see me on Instagram, if you see 25 patients a week, which is considered more or less full-time in private practice, and you have the lowest payer, which is Anthem, giving you $75 a follow-up, and you decide you're like me, you like to travel, so you're going to take a whole month off, even seeing 25 patient hours per week with the lowest payer at $75 a visit, a follow-up. I'm saying these are all follow-ups. You make $150 on the initials, if not more. That's $91,000 a year. So you guys will never see me complaining. So accepting cash is great. Accepting HSAs is great. Selling programs and packages is great. But I like to tell you guys like the real deal, which is I don't do a ton of packages. I can teach you how to create awesome packages, but I don't feel the need because I like to help the people that need our services most. And those tend to be the ones not with, high indisposable income. So, once again, I am not anti-cash, and I am not anti-programs, but I have found that if there's a will with insurance, meaning like somebody has coverage, I can show you guys how to bill for it. So, why don't we use what they're already paying for, to really maximize those visits? Something that I have found has been really helpful is selling a la carte services simply means like, I sell metabolism tests. I sell in-body, I charge $60 for an in-body, but the scale cost me $10,000. So you can sell a la carte services. Many dietitians that I work with, because we can't bill insurance for email communication, say you have patients that want to check in between visits. You can create like an email, say you think it takes you like a couple, I don't know, you qualify your time and then you can create an a la carte service that complements the insurance. So metabolism tests, right? I can't bill insurance for metabolism tests. I can't bill insurance for in-bodies. I can bill for face-to-face visits. So I charge $150 for a metabolism test. Say they have Anthem, I book a 60-minute follow-up associated with that, and then I collect another $150. The metabolism test takes me 10 minutes. I charge $150. So for an hour and 10 minutes of my time, I make $300. Okay, so a la carte services are a thing. I don't like to spend a ton of time on them right now because I want, but I just want you guys to know that you can bill cash for services we can't bill to insurance. So, there's like meal plans. Somebody wants a meal plan, 3 days of meals from somebody in my practice, $250. We know that nobody follows meal plans, so we might as well. People are like 3 weeks, 3 months. I'm like, no, 3 days, 3 days. I'll give you 3 days spec'd out for you based on your food preferences with a shopping list. And you give me $250 in exchange, So, these things are time consuming, and the people that want meal plans, it's, we all know that that's a losing prophecy, but I'll do it. I'll do anything for money, but, but $250. So those are examples of a la carte services. Once again, I don't want to put, the cart before the, with the horse or whatever. So, but I just want you guys to see the potential and to see how I put it into play. So, I don't think you need to go out and buy a med gem to start doing, metabolism tests. I don't think you need a $10,000 service. Scale in your practice. Dude, I still have for most of my career, I used a $22 scale from Costco. That was a Weight Watchers one. It was amazing and it served its purpose. So I'm telling you, there was nothing cute about my practice in the beginning. So a la carte services are a thing, but let's not focus on them now. I'll answer any and all questions as they come through, but I don't want to prioritize, you guys incurring gazillions of dollars of debt. So a la carte services are a thing. We'll talk more about those. What I might start doing now, is to create some buzz. So I have diabetes, type 2 diabetes. People are like, I like it when people will say to me, no, Amy, you have type 1. I have type 2 diabetes. So I regularly see an endocrinologist. So, even before I started taking insurance, like I always say, tell everybody and your mother that you're going to start taking insurance. And I'm like sincere when I say your mother, because my mother-in-law works at Yale in the Women's Center. And she sends me a lot of patients. So, let your personal providers know, start nurturing that relationship. I was having an IUD put in October, and I don't have kids. So it's like my 15th IUD, but, I nearly died. I'm being dramatic, but before I died, I was giving out copies of my book to all the providers that were there that day, because I specialize in PCOS. So I'm a firm believer in lowest hanging fruit, which is you know, I have a whole marketing webinar for you guys. I think it's module, maybe module 10, but like, and I have a whole section on like marketing to your peeps. Your peeps are like your friends, your family, anybody that will listen. You know, I'm a huge fan of just like talking about our services and how we help people, right? One of the few things that I think I'm really awesome at is nailing dietitians' pain points when it comes to accepting insurance, right? So I've built this huge brand based on all of my confusion when I first started. So if you can connect with your providers and tell your providers how you specifically solve their patients' pain points through your services, and that you accept insurance, you know, and accept, right? That can be in the future, like get the buzz going, because you only need a couple of strong referring practices to give you the patients that you need to get to the momentum to get started. So in the marketing module, you guys will see I have sample business cards that I've used over the years. I have sample rack cards. Once again, I don't even think you have to be fancy. You don't need a book. You know, just tell people what you do and how you solve their problems, right? You know, that is something I am good at in, you know, in our realm. But I'm also, I mean, I specialize in PCOS. So, you know, I help people lose weight so they qualify for IVF so they can have the family of their dreams. Like that's how I solve people's problems, right? Most of my patients have BMIs, you know, like in the high 40s, mid 40s. They don't qualify for IVF until they're under 40, or they're not supposed to, but that's not to say that certain insurance companies don't speak them through. But so when I'm talking right to providers, I'm talking to OBs, I'm talking to adolescent endos, I'm talking to any provider who touches my patient before or after me. Also, I always say, you know, the sleepers. So the places where I get Botox, right, are the same places where people are having laser hair removal. Many of my women that I work with have full beards, right? So where's a better place to, you know, they're going to places for laser hair removal. And so where's a better place to be like throwing out business cards and letting people know what I do? So you will be surprised where you find, you know, some of your best referral sources. They're probably right under your nose. I spend $0 on marketing. I have business cards. I know that's considered marketing. I have a website. So I don't want to say zero, but I don't do Facebook ads. I do nothing aside from tell providers how good my team is and how we solve their problems. And we accept insurance. And most of our patients have awesome coverage. Okay. So it goes back to what we were talking about 5 hours ago when I started this conversation, and I promise I'll shut up because I know you guys have better things to do on a Saturday. You know, like, let's not complicate these things. Like I said, you know, I have close to a 7-figure business based on just being like a normal human being, right? Like being nice to people. Like your success in your private practice has nothing to do with your credentials. It has nothing to do with where you go to school or went to school. It has everything to how you show up for your people and how you treat people, you know? So like that part should never be hard. Marketing yourself, if you have something awesome, which you guys all do, it will never be as hard as you think it's going to be. Because trust me, like I said, things will go wrong, but you know, but what you have right now is better than good to go. So don't question that piece and let people know, you know, how you know, and then I will shut up. The last piece is free gigs. I always find it fascinating when I meet people or people tag me on Facebook. They say like, they'll say something to the effect of like, I did this, but I know you wouldn't do this, Amy. There is nothing I wouldn't do. And just because I am in a different place in my practice and my brand, I always say it would be hilarious if we had my husband come on here and just let you know how big of a weenie I was when I started my practice and how people steamrolled me, you know, and the low amount of confidence that I had, you know. And so now, yes, I charge everybody and their mother for everything, but I am not adverse or below to free gigs. And so, a couple years back, maybe about 5 years back, somebody asked me to come to speak to the Milford Fire Department, which is a pretty sizable fire department, on a Friday afternoon. It was at 2:30. My husband and I were going to Jones Beach, which is about a 2.5-hour drive with no traffic. It can be a 10-hour drive to go see Peter Gabriel and Sting. My husband's sitting to me, why are you doing this? Like, we should have been on the road by 9 o'clock. Here it is. I go and I do a talk for 60 firefighters. They show up. If I tell you I made $20,000 plus that never stopped coming in, all of those patients, all of those firefighters had Blue Cross Blue Shield. And, so I did a free talk. I did a mini presentation. I think I did a Q&A. Like, I don't even show up with, presentations, but I did a Q&A and told people about how I serve them, how I could help these firefighters. And not only did they start to see my practice and utilize their unlimited visits, they sent their wives, they sent their kids. So I know sometimes people think that I will be the first one to tell you not to do something for free. I am the first person to tell you to be strategic with your time. And when you start to accept insurance, it's a different beast. And especially if you have an audience that has unlimited visits. I mean, get your sketch, get your black book out like mine and start to hire some new dietitians, because you're going to need some space in there. So don't poo-poo free talks. For me, even at this stage in my career, I will get in front of anybody that wants to hear us talk, because I really believe that dietitians have a good mouthpiece. You guys just have to get in front of people. So I'm telling you, I just laugh because I think of all of the presentations that I've probably done in the last 3 months, for free, in exchange with free marketing. Podcasts, you guys have probably, we don't get paid to go on podcasts, or, some of you guys found me on Dietitian Symposium. I didn't get paid to do that, so you show up for other people. I always say serve first, sale second. So show up and give an A+ presentation for free, not expecting anything in return. And, just don't be surprised when people start wanting to work with you. So don't poo-poo that piece. I know as dietitians, we're super protective of our worth. I get it. You guys know, I am the first person to talk about that, but we have to be mindful of the context. So, so that's why I think in the beginning, when you guys are marketing your stuff, even during COVID, we were doing once a quarter virtual seminars for certain practices during COVID. Almost as a sales call, right? We would do once a quarter during COVID, and you get a bunch of people's, you'd say to this doctor, how about I do a presentation once a quarter? Maybe it might be on seasonal eating or weight loss. You show up, they set up the patients for you, you deliver a service for them for free, and then people want to work with you because you're just that awesome. So, so don't poo-poo free. And then last, and I will shut up because I know you guys need to go. Telehealth. Okay. So telehealth obviously is in flux. If you guys are not a member of the insurance and credentialing and billing page for dietitians on Facebook, definitely join. It's not my Facebook page. I'm not affiliate. I'm not affiliate of anything. I don't sell, you guys know, I don't sell anything unless it's mine or unless I love it. But, that's a Facebook page that some of you guys may have found me there, but, sorry, my computer is being funky today. They have an announcement section, and a lot of times we'll put all the new telehealth stuff. So we have a telehealth sheet by state that we set up. So so you guys, there's me in my real office. But coding by state. So it's a fun, the woman who runs it is awesome. She's Seattle based. But we have all sorts of spreadsheets that are state specific. So, so this may be a helpful place. What I would give you just as a word of recommendation, if you are not in this page already, Marlene, who runs the page, she usually lets people in once a week on Thursdays, and she makes you answer all the questions. So if you try to get in and you didn't answer the questions, she's not going to let you in. So this is the insurance and credentialing page. It's a Facebook page. It's very helpful. I try to be an active participant on there, probably as you guys see, like a lunatic. But it's just another place for you guys to get some information. So like I say, I talk too much. I'm going to shut up because you guys have places to go and people to see today. But what can anything that I just talked about that you guys have any questions on or that I can help with?
Just the Kajabi. I'm not very familiar. When you have time, I'm probably that one that's going to take it slow.
Yeah, just take it. Do you have
it.
access? Or you're in there, right? With access, right? I've given you you've been in there, right?
I went in there and I saw a video for 30 minutes. Is that access, I guess?
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. So I want you to
Okay.
see, and what I'll do today is I'm going to send you a password link again to get in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe that's what you need, but you will have like, you're going to get like, there's like hundreds of videos. I had to spec it out for the credits. I think there's 30 plus hours of videos in here. So, so you can log in, and then this is what you should see when you log in.
Okay, no, I didn't see that.
Okay, I will do is I'm going to make a note for myself. And what I will do is I'm going to send you a link to log back in to reset your password. You will see in the CAQH section, I have in module, it's probably module 1. I have an example of my CAQH example. You know what I mean? So when you go in, you can download here, you can actually see my CAQH, you know, so my aliases that I exist under. So, but once I send you the password reset, I think Kajabi only gives you 6 hours to do it. So, I'll do that within the next hour. So you have some access to that. But if anybody else gets stuck or locked out, just shoot me an email and I can reset your password for you.
Amy, I don't think I have access to Kajabi either.
No.
I don't think I do either.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to do it all right now. So you guys, I'll show
Thank
you. Yeah. So let's do it together. Like I said, so let's go. Like I said, I'm like not used to not having a mouse. Okay, so let's go into Kajabi. So, okay. So first we'll set. Oh, I'm in the wrong tab. Jeez Louise. Yeah, so you know what happens is a lot of times when you guys register, the link goes into your spam. So what I can come and do. Okay, so Tim, you got it. Okay, so who else? Shout out your guys' name, and then I'll plug you guys in and reset you all because I can't see the screen at the same time.
Yeah,
so
mine's Patricia Hayden.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Karen Riggs. Nice.
And you got me, right, Tam, Mac?
Yep, you were first, man. I said
yes, I just making sure. Okay.
Yes, girl. I did not forget anybody. So if you guys don't see that link, let me know because I can resend it.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody should be good. Anybody else need it? Yeah, sometimes I think what happens is it goes to spam and then you guys don't know to look there. But when you register for the course, it sends you like a welcome email and all of that goodies. So let me minimize this so I can see your guys' smiling faces. Okay. Anything else I can help with right now?
I just had a question going back to the speaking gigs real quick.
Yeah.
Once you get credentialed with insurance, do you then, is there a way to find out which companies?
No, my husband, because we have a really good payer in Connecticut called Hartford Pilgrim. They pay $50 a unit, which is insane. Most of my Blue Cross Shields are like $25. Once again, I'm not complaining, but I get like close to 300 because my initials are like 90 minutes. And so my husband's like, is there a way? Sometimes if you know corporations. So for example, we have Sikorsky in Connecticut, which builds the Blackhawks. Everybody at Sikorsky has Cigna. The same thing at everybody who works for Yale has Blue Cross Blue Shield. All the state workers in Connecticut have Blue Cross Blue Shield. So you'll start to see similarities, but it will be more through experience or like your spouses. Yeah. Did I just freeze up?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So what, ooh, say I'm unstable. I'm so psyched I lasted this long. I had a feeling that this was going to happen. But so a lot of times based on, you know, your location, you may learn based in your area where people are. So for example, like I said, at Yale, all Yale, I don't know, maybe there's 15,000 employees. They all have Blue Cross Blue Shield. All of Sikorsky, which is a major manufacturing, they all have Cigna. So once you have one patient and you know where they work, a lot of times it's, I don't want to say it's like a gateway drug, but then you learn who everybody else has, you know, because most employers, sometimes there's some diversity with places, but a lot of times it's the same insurance company. So like I said, in Connecticut and in most major states, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield is generally going to be, with the exception of New Jersey, the lowest payer, but your highest volume. So, you know, so we just have to be mindful. I always say that we take the good with the awesome, because Blue Cross Blue Shield pays my mortgage, where Harvard Pilgrim, you know, it's nice to have $50 a unit, but like, you know, that's a gift. And maybe we have just, yeah, I like to be speaking in front of, on a Friday afternoon, all Harvard Pilgrim employees who have unlimited visits, you know, to come see me at $300 a pop. But I also know that that's not reality. So you guys will start to learn that piece, because you'll be talking to your patients and there'll be nurses or there'll be fire, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like I know more about my patients than I knew about my own family. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like they become, most of my patients, I haven't taken a new patient since 2019, and I see 50, anywhere from 30 to 50 patient visits, you know, and most of my patients I've been seeing since before 2015. My patient, I had a patient this morning. I started looking at her file. I started seeing her in 2014. We're like in 2021. Yeah. So that's not a good testament, because I do weight management, remember, but like these people are like, you know, like I get invited to baby showers, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, weddings, you know what I mean? Like, you know, christenings, bris, you know, like, so it's like fun. Like this is, you know, I always see that you go into private practice because it's like fun. It should never, this part might not be fun. It's like, you know, it's like getting your COVID shot, right? Like it's not fun, but you know that it's like good in the long run. That's what this part of your process feels like. But, you know, like I love my job, you know what I mean? You know, like, and like I said, I have crazy patients, like lots of crazy patients, but I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, it's like, you know, it's like you also leave some of these visits and you realize just how grateful you are, you know what I mean? Because you also like your little minute problems, or at least mine, you know, it's like you just have a better perspective on life working with these patients, because they will change you as much as you change them. You know, we hope, right? I hope I do sometimes, but not all. Some days are better than others. So okay, friends, I'm gonna go check on my dad to make sure he's still standing up. I can hear him clanking around with his walker, but I promise you I will be in a prettier room when you guys see me next. And then tag me up with any questions and let me know how I can help, okay? You guys have a great day. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Amy. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.